Welcome to the K-State Insiders, your Kansas State sports show. Now, let's head into the studio.
Welcome to the K-State Insiders. I am Tim Fitzgerald, your host as usual, but the panel's a little different tonight. We're going to do something different. It is all former players. Of course, two of them are our football analysts, Brien Hanley and Monte Spiller, but we're also joined by the tight end, Thomas Hill, and the linebacker everyone loves, Elijah Lee. And this is going to be about them. This is going to be their forum. I'm going to get out of the way because, after all, they're the ones who have paid the price. They know what it takes to win football games. They've played at K-State. They've been in the locker room. They get it. They've got it. They're part of all of this. So I value their opinions, and they mean much more than the opinions I can offer. So let's start here, gentlemen. Round table style, maybe. Big B. What's the biggest thing that is your concern for this Kansas State football team?
I would say the biggest concern. Look, I'm an old offensive lineman. That's my biggest concern. They can't run the football. It's not so much they can't protect because they do that okay, but you got Avery that can move around, but they just can't run it. They can't run the football, and you're not going to win if your quarterback isn't the most accurate guy, and you can rely on a running game that is non-existent, and you can't rely on it, I should say. That's my biggest fear, is that we haven't played these juggernaut defenses. Now, I think Arizona's defense is decent, but Army's isn't. North Dakota's isn't. Iowa State's probably pretty good, but we ran the ball against them in the first half. But we haven't been able to run the ball since then. And if you're not going to be able to run it and your wide receivers let down your quarterback from time to time, he's not the most accurate guy. The play calling is suspect. How do you win the ball?
Thomas, K-State's now 1-3. It's not a position that is familiar to the fans, particularly the younger ones. And by that, I mean younger than me, because the last time this happened was 1989, Bill Snyder's first season. Whew. And we're heading into an off week here with a very winnable UCF game coming up at home in 2 Saturdays. But what rests on your shoulders right now thinking about K-State football?
I think it's time for the boys to find kind of the identity of what the offense is, what the defense is, special teams. We made a couple good plays, but I don't see the offense right now clicking on all cylinders. And I think Hanley touched on it a little bit. Listen, everybody's going to have something to say about the offensive play calls, no matter what. I mean, if you win by 30 and you put up 300 yards passing, 200 yards rushing, someone's still going to have something to say. But I just don't know that we have an identity right now from an offensive standpoint or defense. We just don't. Defense doesn't play with that raw, nasty mentality that they used to with the Lynch mob. And on the offensive side, we're struggling up front, as Hanley said. And then what's our identity? Are we going to let Avery run the ball? We're going to let him get loose. I know we've tried a little bit on the outside, but what about the old school style with Klein? I mean, give him 2 or 3 blockers up in the middle and let him get busy up in there, and then let him break outside. So I'm just concerned about, do we have an offensive identity right now? Are we going to push the ball downfield? We got a couple big targets that I think we could utilize a little bit more, personally, in my opinion. I mean, you got Bradley is 6'4", 6'5". Really hadn't seemed to get a bunch of targets this year. So, I just want to know who is K-State from an offensive standpoint, specifically speaking as an offensive guy right now.
Of course, we'll find out next week what J.B. Bradley's status is. He missed the game in Arizona, but he was missed. What little they've used him has been valuable. Right. Elijah, welcome to the party. I appreciate you doing this, man. And what is your first thought when we talk about this Kansas State football program?
My initial thoughts, truth be told, I don't think we have an identity.
Right.
Whether it's going to be the pass game or it's going to be the run game or special teams isn't what it used to be, the pride in it, right? Defensively, and this isn't any shots at any of the kids or anything, but just from outside looking in and just when you watch ball, we don't look physical.
You're right.
and the physicality isn't put in the right places, right? And I go to bat. I've been going to bat online about. I don't know if it's necessarily coaching as much as it is on executing.
Yeah.
Because they're put in the positions to make the plays, like some of the defensive clips I've seen. The pullers are going to take you to the ball, right? If you look at one of the clips that's going all over the place is we had more numbers than they had a ball carrier and blockers. So it's probably not going to stay there. And then on offense, you got to think about it. And now that I'm a DC in high school football, at any level, like I did an internship with the Bears, if you don't have your key pieces, I don't think you could build a true identity. And then you talk about the Iowa State game, Dylan gets hurt on a punt return, and for all we know, he was 70% of the game plan.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the young kid, the 5-star. Yeah, we have high expectations, but he hasn't proved anything. Right. And I think the difference between this era of football and what it used to be is it doesn't matter who you are, what your rank is, because we used to go against Texas all the time with 5-star guys and beat up on them.
All the time.
Right. So whenever you get to the college, it's not about the money. It's not about what you signed for. You can't run. And one thing you can't run from is the physicality and the execution. And if you don't have those two things, you're not going to play good ball. And I think that's where we are right now. We're all caught up in who's making what, where can I go next, instead of being in the moment and taking it day by day. And little do they realize this is their resume that they're putting on tape. So who you were yesterday and last year doesn't mean that's who you'll be.
They always said the eye in the sky don't lie.
Man.
Not at all.
Elijah, that was good stuff. You covered a lot of ground there, Monty. Good luck following that.
Being a defensive guy, and I'm gonna talk about the defensive side and the offensive side. Starting with the defensive side, Elijah kind of hit on it. We don't have an identity. The teams I was fortunate to be part of, we started the Lynch mob. It was one of the things we took pride in, and also is the fact that not just our ones, but also our twos. And there wouldn't be a drop off. And watching the Cats play now, our ones don't look sure, and you don't see that sense of urgency. You don't see that confidence. You don't see that reckless about them. Like the guys I play with, they play with bad intentions. I'm pretty sure Elijah can tell you that too. But I know Big B, we would go against each other in practice, and the O linemen we played against, they were nasty. Better. And then vice versa. We would hit them in the mouth. They hit us in the mouth. Come Saturday, whoever we saw was a cakewalk, because we didn't get some guys like weekly, and they made us better. Offensive wise, we don't have an identity. Avery has the attributes to be a great quarterback.
Yeah.
But like you said, what is our identity? Do we want to go back to the Colin Klein time, to the Mike Bishops, to the Jonathan Beasleys, where we run up the middle and let them get outside and do what they do? I don't know if that's the answer, but right now we don't have an identity. And honestly, I don't think our kids have a lot of confidence. Watching defense, we're second guessing ourselves. We don't play free. We don't pull the trigger, and we don't just fly around like we used to. And you rotating different guys, I see, and I'm like looking at the media guy like, okay, who is this kid in? Who is the kid? You don't know these guys, and it's not consistent. And I'm not sure if it's because of injury, because of practice time, whatever it is, but we don't have an identity as a team, and it shows. And normally when we back into the corner, we come out fighting. I got a chance to watch the second half of the Arizona game because I was coaching the high school game the first half, and I got home and I watched the second half. We had a chance, but then we didn't finish the deal. So I'm not sure what's going on, but right now, as a whole, K-State isn't the K-State of old. I don't want them to be the K-State of old, but I want to have some of the characteristics that we used to have to get through things like this.
Well said.
Monty, since you were part of it, we talk about the lynch mob or the mob mentality now. Right. What is the definition of that for you as someone that was around at its birth?
I'll tell you how it came to be. We were Coach Bob Stoops was my coach my first couple of years, and we were watching film, and I can't remember what play it was, but pauses the film, and he goes, "Man, that's what we need every play. You guys were like, we had literally had 11 guys to the ball, and he goes, you guys like mob to the ball. It was like, and that running back didn't have a chance. And so I was a redshirt freshman. The players were Jamie Mendez, Kenny McIntyre, Thomas Randolph, Kit Rawlings, Joe Gordon. Those are some of the starters, and they were like, and back then the Lynch mob, Ice Cube and the Lynch mob was the lick back in the day, and they say like a Lynch mob, and Coach Deuce was like, yeah, you guys like a Lynch mob. No matter who it is, we mobbed into them, and we ran with it, and that's what it was. And at that point, we would come out Lynch mob, and to this day, that's how it started.
Man, yeah, taking matters into your own hands. And Big B, this team looks like it has none of that mentality. None. I don't understand, and Elijah touched on some things I'm going to get back to, but it's a foreign concept to see a team this casual, a K-State team.
Yeah, and I've said it several times, and I'll say it again. I'm sure Elijah can appreciate this being a high school coach now. Sometimes you just need a bunch of a-holes in the locker room. Like, you just need some of those guys. You have to have them. And K-State doesn't have any of those. I've said it over and over again. You can't have a locker room full of nice guys. And the misconception is that when I say something or when people in general say something like that, a lot of times people think you're talking about like bad individuals or criminals or something like that. I'm like, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means a guy that is a complete ass that is going to hold everybody accountable, not just in games, more importantly, in practice. He's going to go 100 miles an hour. They're going to yell at you when you do something wrong. They're going to get in your face and demand that you do it right. I go, and I don't see any of that on K-State. You don't see it on the sidelines. And the one thing about it is people say, well, coaches got to do this. And I go, look, players can look through coaches and see when somebody's faking. If a coach isn't really that guy, they can see through you being animated on the sideline, and they're not going to pay any attention to that. It's the same way with players. But the problem is you have to have those guys. And they haven't recruited any of those guys. And that's kind of where it is. You got to have somebody that is going to take the bull by the horns and just say, enough is enough. You got to stop. We got to stop. And we got to make this happen. Go win a play. Don't worry about winning the drive. Don't worry about winning the quarter. Just win the next play. And you know what? If you get beat, okay, great. You know what? I'm not going to get beat the next play and continue down that path. They just don't have enough people that do that.
Thomas, you want to follow up to that? Because you guys are really good. Did you guys caffeinate properly before doing this? So, what's your thoughts?
Round table. No, I agree. I think we've always had those guys that were just nasty, right? Whether it was on offense or whether it was on defense, and I'm sure they have a couple of those guys in the locker room, but it's time for those guys to step up now. And I don't personally know who those guys are. Only the people on the team and the individuals in that locker room know who they are. But it's time for some of those guys to start stepping up, and being the leader and being the guy that's willing to grab somebody by the face mask and say, listen, you're either going to follow my lead or you can go. If you want to jump in the portal and run, then you can run. But if you're going to be here, you got to have this kind of mentality, right? And so I agree. We got to find those guys in that locker room, and I'm sure they're there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is still K-State, so they're there somewhere, but it's time for them to step up for sure.
I agree. Elijah, you are by far the youngest here. Congratulations.
Are you sure?
And I know you have an interesting perspective as a high school coach, but even looking back to when you were at Kansas State and you were a young guy coming in, now you get to say back in my day, how different are the kids that you coach than what you remember from just not that long ago?
I think it's different, right? Everybody has a specific position trainer. And I think growing up, you for me, and I'm sure the older guys, you guys can contest to it, is going outside and just playing on the playground, playing with older people, playing on sports teams where you might be the youngest, you're not the best player. And I think what happens in this world is whenever your child, and I'll speak for high school and college, isn't the best player, they're probably being pushed, hey, you should go somewhere else. You're better than this. You could do better than this, right? And like my high school kids now, I tell them, if you can't run the ball, you might as well not think about playing for me. And I break it down to parents. We just had a parent meeting not too long ago, actually, is the things I look for is execution, physicality, and putting it all together. Because if you don't know what's going on, I can't have you out there looking left or right.
Absolutely.
And you're going to put yourself in harm's way, right? Now I look bad. But I think the biggest take is for these young guys to understand, they put the expectation on them. And I'm going to speak defensively for the defense. Yeah, it was cool. They were throwing up Lynch mob. But we knew in Coach Snyder's era, that was his era of those guys, right? They had their time. You never once seen us throwing up Lynch mob, no matter if we had a top defense or not. And it was just a respect thing. And you put those expectations. You throw up the Lynch mob, you cut on that tape whenever they were flying around. Yeah, it better look the same.
Yeah, better back it up.
Right. And like I said, it's a respect thing and it's a grit thing. I just think where the day and age of them being coached hard, and I try to tell people you can't bash a kid in the media because first thing they're probably going to do is look themselves up on Twitter. Yep. Then call mom or dad. And then there's already a school reaching out to them, right? So you probably, as a coach, you have to be on the safe side because so-and-so is ready to offer them $1 million just to come. But the problem is, and I have a hard time grasping it, we're talking about kids making these large numbers that the top 1% don't even make, right? And now they do as the rookie minimum gets bigger and bigger, but you're telling me set records, took pride in having the most tackles, being a good leader, and I played the game for free in college. And now these kids are making, and I don't fault them, they're making $500K. I wish that would have been mine, but what are you really playing for? Are you playing for the money?
That's the key.
Are you playing for the opportunity to take it to the next level? And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I'm proud that these guys are getting money because it takes care of those situations you may not know what's going behind closed doors. But at the same time, are you hungry? Do you think you just made it? Because when you get to the league, special teams, practice squad, or on the 53-man roster, it's you or me. And I promise you, I'm going to take myself.
There you go.
Because I know if I ask you to borrow money to pay my bills, you maybe, but that's not the reality of this world. And I try to put it in the real world perspective. When you need $1, you got to go beg for it. You can't just ask the next person for you because then it comes with things, right? So why not go get your own and make a name or put a staple in whatever decision you make?
So, Lee, question for you or anybody else. Do you guys feel like we're in that situation where, because I don't know what our guys at K-State are making, and I don't know if we have that kind of money that, the boosters and the school is putting in behind these kids, but is that the problem, you think? Because obviously there's a lot of kids out there that they do get paid and they start acting like prima donnas, and I don't know what the numbers are. Hats off to those kids for making money and being able to set themselves up for the future, hopefully, if they do it correctly. But is that the issue, or is the issue deeper than the pockets?
Monty or Big B, I find this a great question because I don't know if it really is a problem how much they're getting paid now. It's the problem is the dude claiming to be an agent calling mom and dad and saying, I'll get your kid this.
Yeah.
When he's not going to get that. That's what's really, I think, hurt the sport is the constant poaching. Right. And if you have a bad game and people get mad at you, it's easy to quit and go somewhere else and get paid. you're rewarded for giving up.
Right.
It really, I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the problem. I think that's part of the problem. They got to put in some better rules. I mean, I like the transfer portal. I think it's fine, but you got to have some limitations to it. You can't have literally guys playing 6 years. First of all, 6 years of college football is ridiculous to begin with. That's number one. But 2, 6 years, and they'll play at 6 different schools.
Yep.
I'm like, what are we doing here? I mean, and look, and I know you all can attest to this. How many guys did we know that played college football, got hurt, never really got an opportunity to play, but too bad, so sad you were done?
Well,
That's life. That's the whole thing. I thought going to college was to get you ready for life. Everything just didn't go the way that it's playing. I mean, there's a guy out there that played 9 years in college football because he kept getting hurt. 9 years. I'm like, what? At what point are we even being realistic about this thing? And so until we get those kind of safeguards, number one, in place, it's just laughable. It's literally laughable. Yeah. But to go back to the money thing, look, yes, you're going to have prima donnas, but there were prima donnas before there was money. There were guys that quit before that, but it makes it easier now for people to do that. And that's the thing, is it just makes it so easy. However, on the flip side of that, you also see some of the best players in college football that are making the biggest amount of money of anybody. They don't have a problem playing hard on Saturdays.
Yeah. Right.
So that's the problem, is like, we got to get some. I'm not saying that we have to have the best football players out there. I'm just saying you can find guys that even though they're getting paid, they are still going to perform.
They're ready to play.
Exactly. Put in there, B. You're right about that. I have no problem with guys getting paid. I think it's a wonderful thing. But and specifically speaking for K-State, let's rewind a little bit. Going into the season, we're preseason top 25. We're projected to be potentially in the Big 12 championship with a chance to make it to the college playoff. We lose 3 games. Now, and here's my thing about it. In number-wise, we still got a chance to make it to the championship if we win game by game, starting with next Saturday with UCF coming here. But here's my thing. What are our guys playing for? Now, and a lot of times you ask yourself, have they quit? Because expectations at this point haven't been met. Yeah, you're getting paid, not all of them, but some guys are getting paid. And if you go back to when we played, to all 4 of us played, we weren't getting paid the kind of money that the guys are getting paid now, but we played for a purpose. And my question to today's team is, what's your purpose? Why are you genuinely playing? Are you playing because you love the sport? Are you playing because you're trying to get a Big 12 championship and potentially get to the playoffs? Or are you playing because you got this NIL deal and you want to put a little bit of film out there because I know I won't be at K-State next year, but for the next team that comes through, I can get more money and go on to them. So I'm not saying that's what's happening, but my question for the current team is, what's your purpose? Because right now, I feel like we got a lot of guys going in a lot of different directions and don't know what to do. And we still have an opportunity as a team to compete at a high level and to win game by game and to put ourselves right back in the Big 12 talk. If you look back to last season, a lot of teams that started the season slow ended up in the opportunity to get a chance at the Big 12 championship. So I want to know what you guys think our state of mind is with this current team, because right now I really don't know. And are you playing for K-State? Are you playing for self? Are you playing for the next opportunity next year for the bigger bag?
Let me throw this out there before it spreads like a wildfire. I do not know what kids are making at K-State. I just throw that disclaimer out there. I'm just talking about big picture. We talk about what are they playing for. The reality of it is money's a big part of the game.
Absolutely.
True.
Right?
Yep.
You could go to any college campus. There's all types of cars. The cars you don't get until you're 40, 50 years old. Unless you play some pro ball now. Okay, I'm like, man, I ain't had one of these till about my 4th year, 5th year. And I'm still thinking about spending that money on that car. Right. So, part of it is what is their why? You know what I mean? And I think college sports in general should be held game by game. You shouldn't get all your money up front. You got to perform to get paid.
I agree.
And I don't fault fans for being upset when players aren't performing, because what do they do at the highest level? They hold you accountable.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's the top players on your teams, the Dylans, the Averys, you've been paid. We know some type of money. We're expecting a lot, just in general.
Yeah.
And then also for Dylan, the best ability is availability.
Huh.
And if you're not available, I mean, how valuable are you to us? And I don't know what he's going through personally or with his injury, right? But from the outside looking in, are you pushing yourself hard enough to get back to this field? And you probably are. But the identity of this team, we're figuring it out in 4 games, and I just don't. Are we a team to make a run? It doesn't look like it, right? I won't count the Army game, because how many guys want to play against the Army?
Especially defensive-wise, no.
Right. And they ran the ball 70 times. So, but the other games that we're in and we're supposed to be winning, there's really no question about it, right? And at some point, again, like I said, it could be all about coaching, put them in the right position. But at the end of the day, it's about how bad do you want it.
Thomas, whether it's a business or a team, you want the employees / players to take ownership.
Yeah,
You have to.
And Coach Kleiman gets at that with, a player-driven program. But I also feel like it's almost at odds with the NIL environment. The investment isn't in the program sometimes, it's in yourself.
Mhm.
right.
And
Yeah.
Kansas State's at the 4-game redshirt limit.
Ooh,
If guys are going to be leaving, they might shut it down for the year.
Yep.
So they can use a red shirt maybe they haven't
Yep.
used. But the calculations of getting players to buy in at the level you guys did, that's all changed. The math is all different.
Here, I'll put this out there. On the teams we played on, there was walk-ons.
Yep.
And them walk-ons that kick your butt. And that's just the truth of the matter of it. Like
Yeah,
for me, it
everybody
was the Coburn Couchmans, the Trent Tankings, right? You see the 2 deep of a K-State roster when we're playing against Texas, and it's all walk-on guys, and it's nothing but much respect to them because they put themselves in that position.
Yep.
But in them summer weights and them winter workouts, when you getting your butt kicked by a walk-on and somebody that's paying to play as opposed to making money to play,
yeah.
I just don't think with college football getting rid of that took K-State's identity.
Yo,
I agree.
Thomas,
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, no, definitely a portion of it, I think. I mean, listen, the players and the coaches got to be held accountable equally, I think. And, again, it goes back to the identity thing. Are we going to can our running backs run the ball between the tackles? Because it doesn't seem like it right now. Can our offensive line protect Avery? It doesn't seem like it right now to me. Can Avery show a little bit more consistency? I still think Avery is the guy. Regardless of what other people think, I still think Avery's the guy. I think we got to ride Avery to the wheels fall off right now. He seems to be committed to K-State. It sounds like he probably could have went to a few different places, as we all know, but he stayed committed to K-State, which I respect. And so, I would like to see him hit some of those mid-range balls, those, 5, 8, 10, 12-yard passes, that I think he's missed on a couple of those. But, again, accountability, some of our receivers have dropped some easy passes as well. So you can't put all the blame on the coach. You can't put all the blame on Avery on a throw, and and you can't put it all on the receivers and the line. So it's accountability across the board from an offensive standpoint. And so who's going to step up? What are we going to do? Can we run the ball between the tackles? Can we give Avery time to make big plays and push the ball downfield? And can we find a way to get Avery loose? I think, or just offense in general. This number 3 keeps popping out, right? I think when we lost to Army by 3, we lost to Iowa State by 3. We barely beat North Dakota by 3, and we had 3 points at halftime going into the at Arizona. 3, and we got 3 Big 12 championships too. So the number 3 stands out to me.
I like
Yeah. There's some positives to it as well, right? So yeah, man, I say, look, defense hasn't done bad. I feel like we could definitely get more stops, but offense, we got to find some things that can start clicking for us, and it's going to start at the top, and it's got to work its way down. And so I don't think it's time to hit the alarm just yet. Again, we got UCF coming up, so it could be a good game for us to get an opportunity to bounce back. But at the same time, any given Saturday, right? Yep. So we better stay on the swivel.
I get it. Here's the thing, and just a thought, because we got two high school coaches here, and a lot of fans, it seems nowadays, have thrown a ton and just blamed everything on coaching. Just they're not putting the players in the right position. It's the coach's fault. The coaches stink, yada, yada, yada. Number one, I'm not saying that they don't. Okay, I'm not here to defend them. But think of this perspective also, is the coaches see them every day in practice. They're the ones that are out there with them in practice. If something isn't being called the way that maybe we think that it should be, could it possibly be that the coaches see what's going on and think, hey, if we call this, our O-line can't block it, so there's no reason to call it. You know what? I can't call this defensive blitz because we're not going to get there, or we can't cover on the back end if they happen to pick us all up.
So you saying the play calling is suspect?
Is that we can't just it's never everybody or just one thing. It's never just the coaches. It's never just the players. It's never that. It's a collective. And so if they see them, sometimes it's just like, hey man, we can't call this because if we do, Avery's going to get killed because we can't run outside zone because our linemen aren't good enough to block it.
Haley, you got your dancing shoes on because you danced around the question. Are you saying the offensive play calling is suspect?
Oh, no. What I'm saying is you can't always blame the coaches because the coaches see them, and if the players just aren't good enough to do it.
Okay.
You know me. I'll just say, I'll throw it out there. If they're not good enough to do it, why put your team in harm's way when you know it's not going to work?
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, the Iowa State game. Iowa State's they're a good coach team. They got skilled guys. They're undefeated at this point. The Iowa State loss, I will take that. We played them well. We had an opportunity to win. That's a game that we should have won, in my opinion, but we didn't. It is what it is. You move past it. But the last three games that we played, outside even North Dakota game that we fortunately were able to win, I feel like we were the more talented team. Even against Arizona, I felt like we had more talent. So here's my question to y'all. Do you think our coaches are coaching based off of what they know and what they've always done, or are they coaching based off of talent or lack thereof of talent? Because for me, as a defensive coordinator, as a secondary coach as well, whenever I'm coaching week to week based off of who we see and based off the personnel I got. I know if I got a bunch of guys that are unphysical on the back end, I'm a scheme a certain way. Or if I have guys that are faster based off who we're playing, I'm gonna put them in a position to be successful. I feel like K-State's, and I'm talking secondary wise and defensive wise, I feel like our defense overthinks. And I don't know if it's because they don't understand the scheme or if it's too much Clandon and thrown out to them, but they're not playing fast. And there's a lot of guys questioning themselves, and you see guys out of position way too often in big play situations. So from your perspective, what are y'all seeing? That's what I'm seeing. I could be wrong, but I feel like our guys, we have the ability and the guys to make plays. Last year, Parnell and Romaine were all over the place. They still are, but not nearly as much as they were last year. What changed? What's different in your eyes?
Listen, I don't know that we needed to be more talented than the other teams that we've lost to and we've played. I think we should have just won those games flat out because we're K-State, right? But it also comes down to an execution thing. And I don't feel like because you asked about offense, I don't feel like offensively we're executing. Again, so I wouldn't put it all on the coaches and the calls, but we're not executing. There's whether we get stopped on a fourth down. Was it the Army game? I think we were up 10-0, had the ball inside the red zone, and we couldn't punch it in. We settled for a field goal, but we got to score inside the red zone at home.
Are we predictable?
Yeah, but you can't execute T Hill if you can't block. You could have the best play that was ever created in football. If you can't block it, it don't matter.
That's part of the execution, right? And our offensive line is struggling up front 100%. And so I don't know how the portal works, and I'm not saying those guys don't deserve an opportunity, but we might want to get in that portal because we need or look to the guys that are backing up the number ones because we're struggling up front. And if we can't get that figured out, we're in trouble.
I'm gonna throw this out there. You got to notice we went to a 4-man front this year.
Yep.
Within a year's time, well, not even a full year, I don't question did we recruit for it, but I do question were we ready for that change. I understand we are deep at the
no, Elijah. You already know it.
Listen, the answer was we heard it all spring that they were deep at the DN position, D-line position.
You're right.
And they are.
But are we producing like we are deep at that position?
But you know where we're not deep at is defensive tackle.
You see it. And you got to understand, I'll just be completely honest. 3-3-5 works in college, but try to take that 3-3-5 mindset to the NFL.
No.
You get killed.
And right?
That you're athletic.
So I think we should have. I'm no expert. I'm just outside looking in. I think we should just stick with the 3-3-5 because in a short time span, are our players ready to read guard pull?
Nope.
Do we have the backers to shock and shed and get off pullers? Do we have the DBs to do what we're trying to do in what I'll say 8 months, right? We lost whenever we were good at the 3-3-5. We have Juju Brent, right? At corner,
big corner. Yep.
Then on the back end, we got safeties that's coming down, the star coming downhill, hitting.
Yep. Hammers. Yep.
And I think that's what Payne was and is.
Yes.
I don't know if he has the experience to play true safety.
Right. Can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
And you can see, and VJ Payne last year was a dog. Because at 3-3-5, he was at home. That was he didn't have to think. He read and react. He came downhill and he laid the wood. This year he has to slow it down a little bit, read more, and it's too much. I'm not saying he's not smart and capable enough, but he hadn't been in the system long enough to understand the ambiance of how to be that safety. And you can tell he's not the same player. And you're absolutely correct. When you make that change, it's a different mindset. And I don't think people realize how big of a difference it is from going a 3-man front, an out front to an even front. And it makes a big difference as far as how you play on the back end. So you're absolutely correct on that.
And the truth of the matter is, do we have that rangy will we've had for years?
Well, when NFL teams do it, Elijah, you're exactly right. They take an entire offseason and change their entire defensive roster.
Yeah.
When they do that, they don't just, okay, we're going to take the guys that we have and go to a 4-man front. They don't do that. They're like, oh, we run a 3-4. Okay, well, now we need more defensive tackles. So we're going to take the offseason and bring in guys and have more defensive tackles. The case they do that? Like, did they bring in 5 or 6 just defensive tackles that were ready to play right now? Because that's what you need. You can't have bring in 5 or 6 that maybe it's going to take 2 or 3 years for them to be ready to play. If you're changing right now, then they have to be ready to play right now.
Right.
They don't have that, and that's the problem. Elijah, you're 100% correct. You can't change your defensive philosophy without changing your defensive personnel. It never works.
And I say that because we had the Jordan Willis.
Yep.
We had the Ryan Muellers.
Yep.
We had the Shaqs. We had I'm just trying to think of who else, the Markwell Bryants, right? And then we had the Rangy Wills, me, myself, Elijah Sullivan, Daniel Green, right? And then we had the back end for that, the Dante Barnetts, the Ty Zimmermans, the the multiple other safeties we had.
Right.
The corners, the Childs, the DJ Reeds, the Duke Shelleys, right? I don't know if this personnel is fit for this defense that we're running. Go ahead.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
Those names you just named, all dogs. And if anybody who don't understand football, those dudes were competitors. They didn't care who was in front of them. They didn't care the name on their jerseys. When it came game time, they was dogs. And that's something K-State, they may have them in the locker room. I don't know. I haven't been inside the locker room to truly see what those guys are like. I haven't been at practices, but it ain't showing on the field. VJ showed it a little bit last year. A couple of backers did, but consistently, like you said, it was collectively a group of dudes who didn't care. They don't care what your last name was, how many stars you had when you coming in. But when it's time to play ball, they balled out.
Yeah. 1 and 3 is scary. Tim, what's the Wildcat Nation saying on your side? I mean, you obviously are tapped in across the board. Is everybody scrambling? What's the take?
It's like this is a foreign team to them. They're wearing the right uniform, but they don't look like K-State football. And I think everyone, including Chris Kleiman, unfortunately, is a little baffled by that, what's going on. But I think Elijah really hit a big thing that's gone wrong with this team. You have taken a linebacker off the field because now they're doing a 4-2-5.
Yeah.
You're taking a linebacker off the field, usually a pretty decent athlete, someone that is used to hitting people. And you've put a defensive end at defensive tackle where they are completely outmatched. That's your trade. A guy running around making plays and a guy getting his ass kicked because he's been a defensive end his whole life. And maybe he's a little heavier than the other defensive ends, but he ain't big enough to take on a guard.
He ain't Mario Fatafehi.
And that's like the Will Gearys. They just don't have a Will Geary on the team. They don't have a Travis Britz, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, we aren't getting after the quarterback effectively.
Yeah.
And we aren't containing runs. We aren't knockback tackling. I don't know the last time I seen a hit.
Let me ask you guys this. And I was thinking about this earlier today because I knew we were going to meet tonight and talk. And I don't hate the word culture, but I just like it because it's overused in my opinion. But I don't think we have currently the culture that we used to have. And I get things change. The kids ain't the same like we used to be. We weren't getting paid. We had a reason to go out there and play. We were student athletes. And K-State was an underdog in most situations going into the season. But my question to y'all is, with the portal being the way it is, and I'm not against the portal because I feel like the portal is a good thing with certain limitations because a coach can up and leave whenever they feel like if they get offered money. So I'm all for that. Why not do it for the players? I'm good with that. But my thing is, a school like K-State, we're not Ohio State. We're not a Big Ten school. We're not an SEC school. We're a Big 12 school, which is smaller on the smaller end as far as numbers. And we've made our name off of blue collar, no stars, guys who actually cared about the game, and we were quote unquote underdogs, overlooked guys that we went to the game. We wanted to show you, what? That's on you. You don't want me, fine. I'm about to bust your ass for it. You know what I mean? I'm on to the AFS. I'm about to bust your butt. Come Saturday day or Saturday night.
Right.
And it's one of those things. And that's the attitude we looked at. That's the attitude I had. That's the attitude we had. And it's one of those things where I don't think the young men are reminded enough, you know what? If you come to K-State, we paid you this amount of money, but there's an amount of pride that comes with this. And do you want to be here for 3 years or even 4 years, whatever you may be? It can be 2 years. I don't care. But what is your purpose for being here? And I feel like we've lost that culture. And I'm saying us as a panel because we've paid our dues and we're here talking about it. But I think the current teams and recent teams has lost that culture and that love for K-State. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I would never fault a young man for taking care of himself or his family financially. I push that 100%. I'm all for that. But on the flip side, there comes a time in your life when you be like, you know what? This is a good amount of money. And I'm glad they chose me. Now I'm going to give back to them what they gave me, then some. because there's a pride. Because to K-State, we started the family thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? K-State family. And that means something to me because you say, hey, that's my K-State brother. Like me and B. Hanley, if I'm back at the crib in Texas, I hit him up, say, hey, I'm back home. It's one of those things where I can call him at a drop of a dime. Now, guys, they there for a year, and then they go. Even a year, they're there for a semester, then they go. Then what? I don't see that family anymore.
So how do we fix that? Right?
You can't fix it the way college football is right now. I think you gotta. I mean, there's no way to fix it, T. Hill. That you can't just put something unless you change all of the rules. You can't put the genie back into the bottle, and that's the whole thing about it is you can make it better, but you can't completely change it. First of all, it's a culture thing. It's the same. We can talk about how when we were in college, all we want. It's not the same because life isn't the same. You know, things are just totally different now. Having said that, transfer portal is here. The NCAA has been sued out the wazoo. They can't go back to the way it was. Like literally, they just can't do it.
Right.
But
I don't want
other schools make it work.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. It's not like K-State is out on this island by itself where nothing else or the way they do it, nobody makes it work. Iowa State does exactly what we do, and they make it work.
So what are we missing?
I can just tell you, Coach Kleiman said it the other day at his press conference. Fitz, you did talk about it today in your daily delivery.
What'd he say?
They're not as good as what we thought. I don't think that's okay for us to say, or it's a bad thing to say. They're just not as good.
Yeah.
That's okay. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you make mistakes when you recruit. Sometimes in the transfer portal, you don't get guys you think they're going to be good. They get here, they're just not as good. That happens. I think if we just
recruiting correctly,
we sit around and we just keep talking around it and around it and around, and not just us, just all K-State fans in general. It's okay to say this team, the players on it, are just not as good.
I'm gonna stir the pot.
Stir it up.
I think
What you got, Lee?
after making the decision of letting Will Howard walk, expectations took off.
They did.
But
That's a great point.
Rightfully so.
And I'm not
though,
saying Avery wasn't worth it, but when you let a guy like that walk and he goes and does what he does.
But does K-State get to where we felt like now that we see what Howard did at Ohio State and Howard stays at K-State last year, realistically, does Howard take K-State to the promised land?
No.
Oh, okay, so then it was a good.
I wouldn't
it was a
say
good deal for
he takes us
everybody.
to the promised land, but he took us to the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, well, but then I feel like it was a good deal for everybody. Howard went and got his money. He went and won a national championship. Avery got a chance to step in and do his thing, and we had a chance to see what he was going to do. But again, the question begs, what do we do now? Tim, what do we do now, Tim?
Let me roll this into the conversation.
You got to go get older.
Two of my favorite plays against Arizona, as long as they learn from the mistake, were the back-to-back personal fouls from young players on defense.
Yes.
Ryan Davis, he was trying to make a statement.
I agree.
Logan Bartley, he made a statement.
Yeah, he did.
They weren't coming over the middle nearly as much after that.
No, they
That
didn't.
was just good football. That was a good hit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and old school, that's perfectly
Beautiful.
fine.
Yeah.
You know, he's unprotected. Should have protected yourself.
The other one you talking about when he hit him out of bounds?
Yeah, right before that.
Hey, that's
He
clean.
got carried away. They're trying. They're trying to turn up the volume, the young guys. And I appreciate that. Now they have to learn from those mistakes. You can't afford those mistakes.
Right.
But I think they set a tone, and they need to carry that tone into practice. And I don't care if the coaches are saying, you got to be careful, we can't get injured, hit someone.
Listen,
You're not hitting each other
We
enough.
need it.
it needs to be controlled chaos.
Right.
Yes.
I
Yep.
haven't seen it yet. Control or a swarm. I don't think I've seen all 11 at the ball.
That's the key.
Right. You got to take shots and not be afraid of messing up.
Yeah.
Because I know my brother or my teammate is going to be following behind.
But what about crazy chaos though? Like I get control, but we need control chaos right now. We need crazy. We need We need
just get
That's
chaos.
personal fouls and everything.
Yes,
That's why
get some
chaos.
We just need any type of chaos now.
Yeah.
Hey,
You right, Lee. You right, Lee.
I don't accept that we're losing, but I want our guys, the offense and defensive wise, to be physical enough where, like you said, we send a message. And if you get a flag, it is what it is. I'm not saying be dirty,
Right.
but you got to have that sense of urgency, and you got to have bad intentions. Point blank. I played and I learned real quick coming from high school in Texas. And guys, some of you got young guys might not remember it, but Tim will. Rod Schiller was a fullback at K-State back in the day. And I came to K-State as a corner. They moved me to safety. I weighed 155 pounds my red shirt year. And I remember they moved me to safety, and I filled a hole thinking I did something on scout team. And Rod Schiller ran through me like I was a wet piece of paper.
Man.
And he picked me up, because he said, "You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right." But you know what though? I respected him for that. But he had no regards for me as the defensive player on scout team. And then come Saturdays, I saw him do that to other dudes who was twice my size, and he was reckless, and he had an attitude about him like, you know what? It is what it, and he had bad intentions, and he had the old school bullhorn, and he was a-hole. And I played with a lot of guys that was that way, and I found out real quick that if I'm a part of this team, I have to have that a-hole in me as well. And I was scared to let my teammates down. I was scared to let them down. I wasn't scared to make a mistake on the field. I was scared to let them down. And then I got the attitude, they a-holes. I want to be 1/10 or 1.
I'm taking a little offense to Monty saying a-hole. I feel like he's looking at me. I feel like he's looking directly at me and talking about me as like, was I the a-hole?
You was dirty, B. You was dirty and an a-hole.
Listen, I'll leave it at this, right? Whenever you look at football, what do we have, 11, 12 games? Look at it in quarters. First quarter wasn't good enough. We still got second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Second quarter, the reality of it is you could lose all the non-conference games you want, but as long as you win them conference games, and maybe we hit a wave of the luck falls our way, right? But I think over this bye week, they need to reevaluate, play to their strengths, not what we thought they were going to be. And we just take it a game at a time, right? Maybe we aren't that explosive offense. Maybe we got to get back to Bill Snyder football where we control the clock.
Yes.
And just wear you down, right? Yeah. Because we know back in the day, you're not going toe-to-toe, you're not just going to mess with Texas. But if you play a strategic game, you can wear them out, right? And that's when we got into playing the TCUs, Trayvon Boykin. We ain't got no business being in games with them.
Dude.
But we made it happen, right? But that's the belief within, right? And also at the same time, it's self-evaluation. Not the coaches. The players need to realize they got to search deep within. Because the coaches don't go out there. All they do is call the call.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you guys, because I think I'm the oldest one out of the group.
You are.
Hey, B, come on, man.
Man.
You was quick to say, bro, damn. Let me ask y'all, if Coach Kleiman, have you guys in front of the team, and I'll start with you, Big B, because you're the next oldest of the group. What's your message to this current team?
You got to have a want to, win the play. Stop accepting getting beat. And I think that's what we have a whole bunch of guys that accept losing a play. Like, we know that nobody's perfect. You're not going to get every single rep right. But there's a difference between understanding that you don't get every play right and not trying to get every play right, or accepting that, oh, well, yeah, they got me. You can't have that kind of mentality. The mentality needs to be, yeah, I didn't win that rep, but there's no way in the world that I'm going to let you beat me on the next rep. And I don't think they have. I think that would be my message, is that stop accepting losing the rep, because at this point we got to break it down play by play. We can't look at quarters and games and we just got to look at, hey, win this play, right, and then go win the next play. and then go win the next play. And I think we just got too many guys, Monty, that just accept that, okay, we got beat. All right, dang it. Instead of being absolutely furious and saying, I don't care what I have to do, you are not going to beat me on the next play.
T Hill.
When we can do that, we got something.
Yeah, I heard you. T Hill.
Listen, my message is simple. It's gonna go back to around 2000, 2001 when I was sitting back when we had a hell of a team, but we ended up going 6-6, and we had some dogs. And I was sitting at home one day to myself, and I said, "Man, what can I say as a youngster right now to get these guys to listen to me?" Because I was young, but I was a dog, but I had Shad Meyer in front of me, who was a baller. Yes, that's my guy. Shout out Shad. And I was sitting at home one day, and I said, "Man, what can I say to these guys? How can we turn this thing around?" And I had an opportunity to go in front of the team and speak. And my message to the team was, the best record you can have is 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
If we go 1-0, we can't lose.
Exactly.
If we win one game at a time, we can't lose. You win one rep at a time, you can't lose.
Facts.
So my message to the team is, let's hit the reset button. Let's flush what already happened. Let's not think about the future. Let's not worry about what's happening next week and 2-3 weeks from now. Let's focus on right now. Let's go 1-0.
Thanks.
Because if we go 1-0, we can't lose, baby. We can't lose. And listen, when the team adopted the 1-0 message, we had it all. We had it everywhere. Scott would put it on the highlight tapes and everything, and I really feel like that was one of the messages that a lot of the guys took at that particular moment, and it helped us get to that point where we ended up winning that Big 12 championship. Now, we had a lot of players on our team. We had some ballers, okay, and I can name drop them. We know who they are. We'll say that for the next call. But winning that first Big 12 championship, our motto was 1-0. Right. At the end of every highlight tape, Scott would put on the highlight tape, it said 1-0. And everybody bought into it. So right now, our guys have to find something that everybody's going to buy into, and we're all going to move forward on the same note, same path.
Elijah, hit me up.
No, that's crazy. You said the 1-0 because that's what we do right now with my high school kids. 1-0 each week.
Yep.
1-0. Take it week by week.
Yeah, that's it.
I keep it short and sweet with them. I tell them, leave your feelings at the door. If you know where you're going already, go. It's either you rocking with us or you not.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a bumpy road. Ain't nobody said it's going to be perfect. Now, they could win out the rest of the season. Like we said, you got to take it week by week, day by day.
Right.
Right. But like I said, if you already know where you're going, go.
I agree. Totally. Don't be telling your teammates I'm transferring at the end of the season and keep playing.
Exactly. Tim, I'm going to let you finish up, but I'm going to finish. Hey, all three of y'all are 100% agree with everything y'all said, and I'm going to keep it short too. And one of my favorite sayings that I say to my kids, facts over feelings. And right now, the fact is we're 1-3. And you might, and your feelings don't matter at this point because you have a bye week. You can get right during the bye week, go into the next home game at the Bill with an attitude like you, both of y'all, T. Hill and Elijah said, 1-0. That's facts. I don't care about your feelings.
Right.
I don't care about your feelings. I love you, but I don't care about your feelings. But the fact of the matter is, you got to get right, and it starts with next Saturday against Central Florida coming here. Now, if you go 1-0, your feelings will be a lot better. But if you go 0-1, your feelings are going to get hurt. I'm going to tell you how I really feel. You know what I mean? But that's kind of where we're at. But I want our boys, like you both of y'all said, go 1-0 and take it day by day. Like BBC, play by play, on to the next one. Quit looking to the future. Look at the now. Look at the present and get right.
Big B, final thought?
Yeah, that's look, they got an opportunity. You know, they're 1-3. It could literally be worse, though. I mean, we're kidding ourselves. We don't think it could be worse. It could be. but it's 1-3, and they still have goals that are achievable. For instance, you could still make it to the Big 12 championship game. You could still win the Big 12 championship. You could still make it to the college football playoff. Now, I'm not saying that all those things are going to happen, but why not think that like we said, go 1-0, win the next play. Just keep winning plays and stacking them up, and then let the chips fall where they may. That's what I say. Don't go in with a defeated attitude. I think they got an opportunity. Take a step back, reassess. I think the coaches need to simplify things a lot, and then just let guys go play fast and go do what they do best. Put the players in the best position to go make plays, and then players, you got to go do it, and then just see what happens.
Got to go do it.
I'll touch on that. To do great things, you got to be delusional.
Damn right.
Yes.
Because if you're not delusional, it ain't never going to happen, right?
Facts.
That's that crazy chaos I'm talking about, baby. Let's go.
Get delusional. Hey, you ain't got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You're right.
Gentlemen, this has been fantastic. I thank you so much. Let me leave you with two thoughts. Number one, my kingdom for a fullback. They set a tone. They make people scared to step into the hole. Nobody's scared to go make a tackle against this K-State team. Also, Elijah Lee, you are a truth talker, man. That was fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for watching the K-State Insiders. This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production.